Hello friends, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you're having a good day. If it's not a good day, then let's just be together. Let's enjoy a fun makeup video. I think this is going to be a really good time today, so hopefully that helps. Here's what I've done. I've compiled a bag full of things that I think I would have loved when I was younger, makeup stuff. I did a video kind of like this about 4 years ago, and it was very beginner focused. This time I was thinking back to the college years. What makes me think back to the college years? All the like Bama Rush and sorority recruitment content that's out there on social media right now. And it's taking me back, and it's making me think of, you know, my first time kind of being out of the house, out on my own. I was really getting interested in makeup in a big way, but I didn't have near what I have now, you know? I could have benefited so much from certain things, and that's what we're going to talk about today and apply that full face because I've just got skincare on right now. So thinking back to college, I went to Monmouth College in Monmouth, Illinois. That's kind of in West Central Illinois, not too far from Macomb if you're familiar with that area. And I cheered for 4 years in college and absolutely loved it. It was an amazing experience. There was a really special coach there that drew me in, and I'm so grateful for that because I really feel like just all the little dominoes that happened in college definitely like set up the trajectory for my life. You know, it was an amazing place to be, made great friends. I was in Pi Beta Phi there. And yeah, I could have really benefited from this. I know I've talked about this in like every recent video, but this hard candy Swett on lock stuff, I mean, I'm thinking back to those hot August football games where we were cheering and sweat was just dripping down my face. I took the time to get ready, but primer, never heard of her. We didn't have that. You just did the best you could. You did your full face of makeup, game day ready, and then it just slowly ran down your face. I think this could have helped. I think I still would have been hot. I'm not saying it would have completely kept sweat at bay, but I'd have a heck of a lot more confidence in my look putting this on first. So I've got that on now. It says super matte skin, and it is kind of mattifying as soon as you put it on. But as I've said before, it kind of depends on the products you choose to put on top as far as how matte the finish of your skin actually is. I think we know that, but just saying. Now this Rimmel Multitasker Better Than Filters, this might not have been an amazing like game day makeup choice, but just generally speaking, I think this would have been so good on my skin. I had skin with just zero problems, zero discoloration. I was doing honestly really great in the skin department, and I think I would have eaten this stuff up that just gave me a really pretty glow. So this is Rimmel Multitasker Better Than Filters. Again, we weren't having priming steps. We weren't having all over glow types of steps, and I just think I could have really liked this. So the shade I have here is 003 Light. There's a lot of products in this category now. I would have to say this one's probably my fave. I do feel like it offers a little bit of coverage, but it's a coverage pigment mixed with your glow, okay? I'm gonna take just a little buffing brush, and let's not even get started on brushes, but I know my brush selection was slim. I know I got a little like brush roll from Mary Kay, because my cousin sold Mary Kay and I got it from a Christmas gift exchange one year, but I could have used so much more. Something to blend in my foundation with? Yes. I was in college in the early 2000s, by the way. I graduated high school in 2002, graduated college in 2006. And it was late 2007 when YouTube started off for me. But yeah, I really had that interest in makeup. I definitely was getting it started in high school. I remember doing makeup before cheer competitions. I was really pleased with my prom makeup several times when I did that. But college, you best believe I was hitting up that local Shopco looking for all the latest drugstore releases. An under eye corrective brightening product like this e.l.f. Putty Color Correcting Eye Brightener, this is probably my tip-top favorite one that I have right now. I have it in Fair, and it really makes you think of that Smashbox and Becca under eye brightener. I've done videos really closely comparing the two, but while I had good skin, I do remember like attempting to do under eye concealer and work with concealers that were just not the greatest, you know? And I think a step like this could have really like taken me straight to the top, you know? Like I would have loved this. Just that little brightening corrective step. I'm trying to think about the timeline of like Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. I feel like maybe that was around at this time, but I'm pretty sure I didn't have an awareness of that pinky tone brightener shade, but this is so good. And it also provides a little more moisture than that NYX Pro Fix Stick, which is another great product, right on par in terms of brightening tone, but this just gives a little more moisture back to the skin. Here's another thing I know I would have loved, just a concealer that really wore all day and that you could totally count on, you know, that could cover anything. Not that I really needed the best coverage, but just the staying power element. I remember touching up makeup frequently, like nothing really lasted, but this Revlon Color Stay Flex Wear would have put me just into a whole new category with my makeup staying power. This shade called Vanilla, yes. And it's like, yeah, use those lighter coverage things all over your skin, like the Rimmel Multitasker, but then you can come in and have great coverage everywhere else, these tiny dots. That's all it takes. Just spreading it out. Make those dots take up room. You know the drill. We talk about this all the time. But yeah, brush-wise, it was just extremely minimal. I don't think I was blending out my concealer and foundation with anything but my fingers, really, at that time. I did have like a kind of a big powder brush that I'm sure I used with powder and bronzer, probably a blush brush, couple of eye brushes, but man, how things have changed. And then I'm gonna tap it in with the same brush that I blended foundation with. Look at that. So good. But I will honestly tell you this, I think my face looks better now than when I was in college. Now, I had great skin, and I feel like I'm still working with pretty good skin, you know? But when I was in college, my brows were way too thin. And anytime I look back at a picture, you know, it's kind of a cringe that I have, like, oh, why did you have to do that? But that was really the thing. And it didn't stand out among others, like, oh, she's got really thin eyebrows. Like, everybody did. But yeah, I could have done great with a look like this. Just this kind of light, glowy coverage everywhere and some brightened up under eyes would have been nice. And then furthermore, loose powder. I mean, I am pretty sure I had like a shine-free loose powder from Maybelline, but nothing was attempting to be all that brightening. And I think something like this I would have had a great time with. This e.l.f. Set It Bright Correcting and Brightening Setting Powder. This is in the fair shade. I really like this one as far as these multi-tone powders go. The concept of having a brightened up under eye, like it would have looked great, but we just didn't have that many products that went there. So I'm just going to take the little provided puff. That's why I'm using this one. It's just in there. You get it with the product. And I'm going to dab it around my nose. I was probably using some provided puffs that were in my pressed powders and whatnot. I do remember having a pretty good powder foundation from Maybelline, I think it was. I can't even quite remember the name of it. Here I am just pressing this in my T-zone and my under eye area. And then thank you so much to the person who told me my link is no longer working on my Morphe under eye bullet brush. I had checked that not too long ago and Ulta still had it, but I think once it sold out, they kind of let it go because Morphe has definitely updated a lot of their brushes since then. So another really similar thing is this Profusion one. It's called the Round Tapered Powder PD8, and this comes in the little trio of Profusion face brushes, all right? And it's so much like the under eye bullet brush. And the ones it comes with are a great little touch-up brush or highlighter brush, and then also a foundation brush that's really good for buffing things in. So it would be a good trio to get if you're trying to build up some face brushes in your collection. But my skin is looking amazing right now. I've got coverage where I want it. I'm set, but I would like to set all over. And if I had something like Maybelline Superstay 24-hour hybrid powder foundation, that would have made me really happy. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I had a powder foundation that I liked back in this time. This is shade 128. But I'm just certain it wasn't as advanced as this stuff is in terms of the staying power. I feel like this is kind of my little staying power secret weapon type of product. Like you get a light bit on your brush, you dust it over your skin, and suddenly whatever foundation was underneath, like this ends up making it all be really set. And I'm not using that much of the product, see? But now my skin feels more uniform all over, and I've locked it in. Hot football games, late night parties, you know, whatever, I would be ready. Okay, a cream bronzer stick. I don't think so. I do not think that was remotely on my radar and not really readily available. Powder bronzer, yes, but this little Rimmel Multitasker in tan, this would have been fun for me. swiping it around, getting some definition. The blending with this is so easy that even though I wasn't that amazing at makeup, I could have made it work, you know? You don't have to be a pro to get this blended in. Look at me just pressing it in. Yes! How perfect. Oh my gosh, you know what just flashed into my mind? And I think it might have been the college years when I was getting into this. Remember Jessica Simpson's dessert beauty line? And all that like edible makeup? Oh my gosh, the lip glosses that really were flavored, lotions that had a taste to them, like just crazy. But it was definitely marketed in such a way that I had to have it, you know? Anyone else? I know I'm not the only one. I would have loved this outcome with my makeup, you know? I wouldn't have ever viewed my under eye this brightened, but I would have liked it. Here's another thing. How about a full face palette? A full face palette from the drugstore, this Butter Dream Team face palette. This could have made my life so much easier. I would have loved this. The 2 bronzers, the 2 blushes, highlighter. What's highlighter? You know, that's in there. Face powder. Yes. I'm going to use some of this today. I'm going to set with this matte Manoy Butter Bronzer, it's called. Lock in that contour. And the smell, you know, I was big into scents, loved my lip products, you know, lip products and mascara, my gosh. Mascara, as I was like shopping my stash for what I was going to use in this video, I had to stop and think like, wait, I had some great mascara things going on in college. L'Oreal Double Extend. We need her back. The original, what was it called from Maybelline? Oh my gosh. Illegal Lengths. That was good for me. I'm taking a little bit of the lighter bronzer too, the original Butter Bronzer, and just letting some of that come up here. This has just been such a great palette over the years. I've taken it on trips. I've used it to multitask on my eyes with ease. It's just great. This blush, oh my gosh, I love this. This is Saucy Mauve, but it's different from my Saucy Mauve single. I always have to point that out. But this rosy glow, subtle glow, ooh, just excellent. No complaints. And the fact that you can get this palette for like around 15 bucks. Everything in here would have cost you so much more on its own, you know? So good there. Like I said, we've got another blush, setting powder in here. I think I would have really enjoyed highlighter. So let's grab some of that and just like get a little bit going right here on the tops of my cheeks. I think Pup might have gotten me my first highlighter, and I believe it was from Lorac. I think it was called Perfectly Lit. But yeah, that skin looks good. For brows, here's what I should have done. I should have gotten literally anything and just filled them in. And then somebody should have taken these and just locked them up. Yeah, anything would have been better. Any kind of little fill-in. But the skinny brow pencils we have today, that would have been nice to have, like a little Morphe micro pencil maybe, and the Micro Manager gripping brow gel that could have kept my brows in place. It's like I really wanted to get away from my elementary school unibrow, and I just ran so far in the other direction. And you know, you're reading the magazines. You're picking up a magazine, and what do the models' brows look like? Well, they don't really look thick. You know, we all went for the Pam Anderson brow. We all did. But if I could look back in pictures and see a little more brow, it would make me happy. So this is what I should have had. My brow, like right now, without doing anything to it, is thicker than my college brow. I don't know. Lock up the tweezers. This maybe is the step that's a deviation from, oh, I would have loved this in college. I guess I wouldn't have, because I was truly going for that thin brow look. But maybe a skinny pencil would have felt approachable and like something that could have made my look a bit more finished and not just so straight up thin. You don't have to use a lot of these pencils. You have a ton of control. A nano pencil would have been great too. Just literally anything. And then a brow gel that really holds, this Micro Manager. You know, I'm sure I had clear mascaras that did very little, but this stuff really holds. You know, I might be finally running a little bit low on this. I have used this for so long. It's so controlled with what comes out on the brush that you will have it a long time. I've used it a lot, and I'm finally feeling like maybe there's not as much on that brush as there needs to be, but it really holds. I can still feel it. Oh, how eye primer could have made my life so much easier and made me get so much more out of all my cheap eyeshadows. Milani eyeshadow primer, Man, I wish. I really would have liked this because I attempted some eyeshadow, you know. I remember having like little CoverGirl trios, or I'd be willing to snatch up, you know, some of those Maybelline quads. And I was thinking as I was getting ready for this video, well, of course I would have loved like a Sydney Grace palette. To be honest with you, I think I might have been a little overwhelmed. I would have been overwhelmed by the pigment level. I would have been a little overwhelmed by the options. It was like quads at most for me, I'm pretty sure. But I think something like this would have been really good for me. Something that was good quality, but not overwhelming, with a few more options than your little drugstore quads. And this is Catrice, and this was $6, the Dark Cocoa eyeshadow palette. And really all that are under this umbrella from Catrice are so good. And I would have had, I think, such an easier time building up these shades, blending them out. They're just soft and easy to work with, and the quality's just excellent. And I know I had a fluffy brush, so going into that shade, getting myself a little crease. I mean, I just really didn't feel like I knew what I was doing that much in college. I was starting to get it, and I was interested, but I just needed more of the right tools, you know? This palette would have helped me out because even not having an eye primer, I think these shades still could pop a little more. But I just felt like I was always fighting staying power, and things have advanced so much in that category. I don't think I'm going to do it in this video because I don't have on hand the type of lashes that I think would have been perfect for me, but I would have loved to have discovered false lashes in college. I remembered seeing them in stores and just being so intimidated by the thought, and I didn't have YouTube videos to refer to figure out how to put them on, so I just stayed away. And my first time using false lashes was early in my YouTube days after seeing it done by others on YouTube. I'm not knocking sponge tips one bit because I know I used them a lot and they served me well, but a flat brush would have been nice. Morphe M303 into that dark brown. Now, I was one who I got ready before every class. I did not show up to class in pajamas. Sometimes I'd be in like sweats or athletic gear or whatever, but I remember wanting to like do something with my hair and put on a little makeup. Even when I had those 8 o'clock classes that seemed so early at the time. Oh my gosh, you got an 8 o'clock class? Oh, how are you gonna do it? Welcome to the real world. And then I always remember on Mondays for Pi Phi, we had to dress up because that was our meeting day. Do colleges still do this? We had to not only show up to our meeting in dress clothes, but we had to wear that all day around campus for school with our pin on. If you were wearing that pin, you had to be looking nice, basically. Okay, see how easily this is blending? I would have done well with this. Going to this slightly lighter brown and just kind of working that in too. They have a nude palette that's great. I recently used the Cozy Earth one, I think. I don't remember what kind of video it was. So smooth and nice. And then shimmers, yes please. Now, did I have a phone in college? I did own a phone, but texting wasn't big, and taking your phone everywhere, I mean, we're not talking smartphones, we're talking like Nokia stuff. And it was the era where you would get on your computer in your dorm room and leave like an AOL Instant Messenger, what do we call those, away messages? Like, on my way to practice. That's how people knew what you were doing. Somehow I did create a little fallout out of that shade. I got a little too excited about it. Pretty easy eye look, no problem. I know for a fact I got into Revlon Color Stay eyeliners in college, and they were not as smooth as they are now, but I did trust that for staying power. I literally remember writing a review on makeuptalk.com that I trusted that eyeliner. But oh, how well I would have done with a L'Oreal Lace Shadow Stick. You know, not needing to be so precise. This is Brown Abyss. Just rolling it right along that lash line real quick like. I feel like I struggled to put on eyeliner pencils because they just were not as smooth as they are today. This would have been great. Not to mention on the lower lash line, having something that could look soft and smudgy, not like, oh, I just put a line there. Like, look, I'm taking Brown Abyss and just soft smudge. This shade's fairly dark, but once you just gently smudge it, it's like, Perfect eye look. And then mascara. Here's where I feel like on one hand, no improvements necessary. Like, give me back double extend. I want that as a grown woman now, you know? But I could have really loved a tubing mascara. I was not into having to do waterproof, but something tubing at those hot football games, you know, thinking, okay, this isn't gonna smudge off, smear off, give me that little raccoon look. I remember correcting that so many times under my eyes, just after like a random school day, you know? And again, products were on my face, things weren't really set. I was putting on lower lash mascara and it was smudging. Like, duh, of course it would have in that facial environment. Tubing mascara would have been good to have. And another one that I think I really would have liked would be CoverGirl Exhibitionist Stretch and Strengthen for its thickening. Yeah, I would have liked how quickly this built up on my lashes. I do have so many fond memories of the college years though. Just simple things like eating lunch at the Stockdale Center and hanging out in each other's rooms. Maybe a few too many trips to the Bijou Pub. And this has changed now. There's a great, beautiful Pi Phi house on the campus of Monmouth where Pi Phi was founded, and Kappa was founded there too. But back then the sororities didn't have houses. We just lived in the dorms, and the fraternities did have houses. Bub was not in a fraternity, but it was like if you were a football player, you kind of usually weren't in a fraternity. You were considered to be like in your own fraternity of football players, apparently. I really need to get a new lash extender, but yeah, that would have been golden for me. Tubing mascara. And then for lips, there are so many things like back then that I would have gotten into. All the tinted lip balms, like give me more of those kinds of things. I probably would have liked like having a stain or something more long wearing. But here's what I really would have gotten into. These Morphe Lip Lock lipsticks where you have the shine, but they actually last on your lips too. I've done a whole video on these. I'm not sure which one I want to wear today. I'm getting out Chain Reaction here. These are so good. So you get shine, but they do actually adhere to your lips. Oh, look at that pink. Yes. I think that particular shade might have been it for me. I wasn't going super dark with my lip color as I recall. Maybe some reds on game day, maybe. But I was definitely still liking like brownish bronzy lips or like a pink lip, something light and pink. I feel like I could use just a little more powder right in here. This would have made me happy in college. Products that could actually last a long time, things that could brighten, user-friendly eyeshadow, a multitasking face palette would have eaten that up, staying power on the lips plus some shine, I'm in. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you had fun. I definitely had a good time. Oh yeah, and throw me one of these makeup headbands back then too. The college kids these days don't know how good they've got it. All the options, all the stuff. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I will see you again soon. I love you. Bye.